Hi, it's Savannah O'Gwyn from Savannah Land 2. Today I'm focusing on another favorite element of mine. I absolutely love chevrons. I am so excited that Paper Smooches just released a chevron border stamp. It's one of the many border stamps in this new Borderlicious set. Now I've created 3 different cards sharing multiple ways of using this chevron border stamp. But let me share a quick tip first. I'm sure you've seen this tip before from Christina Warner or Jennifer McGuire, but just in case you haven't, I'll share how to get your large border stamp straight on your acrylic block. All I do is I place it face down onto my mat, and then I use a clear ruler and press it up against that. I think Christina uses a T ruler, but any ruler works. And I make sure that it's flat up against that. And then I press my acrylic block down. It's as simple as that. Now I know my border stamp is perfectly straight. Now another way to make sure it's straight is to use an acrylic block with lines. You can use these lines as guides to make sure your stamp is in the center of your block perfectly. Okay, so let's talk chevrons and how to use them on your projects. Now the first way is to use this Paper Smooches stamp as it was intended, as a border. Now for this card, I used part of the chevrons to make a fun border. And there are actually 2 ways to make this design. I tend to work, let me pull this back over. I tend to work on my card base. So I attach my pattern paper and then I attach everything else. Or I stamp or I do my fussy cutting and stuff. But because I was stamping on the side, I wanted to make sure I got a good image. And so what I would do is cut your paper, your pattern paper or cardstock, and then I would tape it down to my mat. And I actually am going to place scrap paper underneath it so if I stamp off of it, it won't get all over my mat. I ink up my design. And then I just stamp right on my paper. Now because I'm doing this before I attach this to my card, I'm ensuring that I have a nice image and that when I press down it's not going to go wonky because of the thickness of the cardstock. Now for this image I might stamp it twice. This is authentic paper and it tends to soak up the ink a lot faster. Now the second way is to just stamp straight onto your cardstock if you don't mind the thickness of the paper. Now the next way to use this chevron stamp is to use it as an accent. I've already shown you this card in my video last week for transparencies, but you can see that I've created 2 different accents for this card. The first one is the way I stamp the chevron. And you can create your own design by just moving this image. So first, let me put this scrap paper down. So first you ink up your image and stamp it on your paper. And then you ink it up again. And you can use different colored inks if you want. And instead of placing it straight across and continuing the chevron pattern, all I did was move it down a little bit. And then stamp. And you can see that it creates that cool pattern. Now the second way on this card that I added some accents was by adding glittered chevrons. And that's what I did for this new card. The great part about separating these chevrons is that you can stamp them, emboss them, add glitter. The possibilities are endless. I absolutely love it. Now you can also attach your chevrons in different ways. One way and I did that for both of these cards, is by attaching them with glue. And I mentioned this last week. All I did was I took my glittered chevron, I put some Tombow Mono multi-glue on it, and then just added it to my paper. So you can glue it. You can also stitch it on. I thought it would be super cool to stitch down the center of these chevrons. And the cool thing about this is, once they're stitched down, you can pull up the edges for a 3D effect. So that's pretty awesome. You can stitch it. You can also staple them on, and all I would do is take a little bit of adhesive and then attach it to my card. Hopefully my stapler will go down that far. It doesn't. I'm going to have to move them up a little bit. And then just staple them on. Same thing, you can actually pull these up, the edges up, for a 3D effect with a staple. So that's really cool. You can do other things like a glue stick, or you can attach it with a sticker machine. There's lots of different ways to attach your pieces. Now for my last card, I was thinking of how I could use these chevrons in a different way. And I came across a super amazing layout on the Paper Fab blog. And it inspired me in so many different ways. I was inspired by the color story, the vellum, the speech bubble, and the little tag. And then I was definitely inspired by her masking technique with some chevron design. So I decided to case this layout, and I went and embossed my chevrons, and then I cut them up. Now this might be a little bit more difficult because of the small pieces and fussy cutting, but I've got a couple of tips. Now the first thing that's great about this design and cutting up your chevrons is that you can use multiple colors. Now I use several different colors on this, like mint and yellow and white, which were also in the layout that inspired me, but you could actually put a color on the left and a color on the right, which I wish I would have done on this card. So you could use white and mint, white and yellow, or yellow and mint, and mix them up. So that's a great opportunity for this kind of accent. Now if you don't like the fussy cut, this accent probably isn't going to work for you. But I've got a couple more tips for you. Once you stamp your chevrons, and all I did was I put them on white paper, embossed them, or for this example I just stamped them, you can cut along the edges and make it easier for you to fussy cut. So all I would do is, I don't know if you can see this wire, but I have a wire in this cutter, and I just line it up with my chevron stamps, and I cut that edge off, and then I line it up again and cut it off, so that all I have to do is cut now my diagonals. And once I've cut each of these, I would run it through a sticker machine, and now it's way easier to cut my chevrons because, let me show you. Once you fussy cut your design, you will have a left and a right of this sticker piece backing, and that's super easy to tell you which side is which. I won't get confused and put this on the left side anymore because I know the sticker piece is on the right. Now I didn't do that for a couple of these, and then I got smart and added the sticker backing to these, and I still like the effect. I just wish I would have done it on a sticker backing first. It would have saved a lot of trouble. Now I know there is one more way to use this chevron stamp. I was actually emailing Kim the other day, and I told her how I wanted to double stamp and show that on a video, and I'm not kidding, the very next day Jennifer McGuire shared a video on this technique. I guess great minds think alike. So you can check out her video if you want to know more about this technique. I hope you will get creative with your chevron border stamp on your next creation. Please leave a comment below with a link to your project. I'd love to check it out. Or link up your project to the Inspired by Virtual Smooches post. Maybe you will be our next featured fan. Thanks so much for watching.